Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of WTF, and that's What the FixedOPS. I'm Russell Hill, co-founder, managing partner of FixedOPS Marketing, as well as host of this WTF. We're glad you're all here today. We have a very special guest that a lot of people may not know about, but before we get into that, I'd like to introduce Charity.
Hello, everyone. I am Charity Dunning. I am the CMO at FixedOPS Marketing and the co-host here at WTF.
We have an extremely special guest, like I mentioned, Art Shaw, who's the CEO of RepairPal. Art, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your career, where you started, how you got where you're at today, if you don't mind.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Sure.
Well, I'm a poor kid from the Midwest, grew up outside Chicago, big public high school, paid my way to go to college. When I went to college, my parents said, "Good luck. How are you going to do that?" So I went east and then I went west. And yeah, that was a great experience. I loved it and was happy to be able to do it. I'd say a foundational part of my career was working in the 90s at Charles Schwab.
Okay.
And first I helped run strategy, and then I helped launch their website, schwab.com, way back in 1995.
Wow.
So, yeah, I've been doing consumer internet and offline online for a long time. I didn't come to the auto industry till 10 years ago when I joined RepairPal.
That's interesting. I was running, I've been in automotive since 85, and I was running dealerships I think it was the beginning, 1996, and websites first came on the scene with the ultra fast dial-up AOL modem, which we all, some of us, maybe all of us remember.
Ding, 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 whatever that sound was.
Yeah, I mean, it was, but I mean, have things evolved since then? So do you have degrees in certain things? You put yourself through college, and I'm just curious. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I have, I was a math and economics major at college, and I have an MBA as well. So,
wow.
And a lot of years working, growing businesses.
How hard was that, Art, to go to? You're from Brown University, and
I went to Brown, yeah, which my parents thought, of course, was in Western Illinois or somewhere. I'd be able to drive home for the weekend. It was actually, rather than being hard, it was kind of a gift, right? I mean, it was sometimes hard when after lunch people would go out and play football or head to the frat, and I would go to the kitchen under the place where we all ate and help clean and pay the way through, and it all worked out great in the end.
Tell us about you, your family, your journey. Are you married? Do you have kids, etc.?
Well, I have 6 kids.
Oh my gosh.
So,
okay.
It's obviously a labor of love. It's an amazing experience. I'm married. My wife is a very successful impact investor, where she invests for purpose and economics. We raised 6 kids together, which is the most fun thing I could ever do. They're amazing. Yeah. Their ages 28 to 12. So I've seen many cycles of many of these experiences over and again. Kids are all different. Sometimes I say, like redwoods, they don't grow up right next to each other. They kind of spread out a little, and they take on a little bit of a different personality. So that either, it's their space and their sunlight. But it's been amazing. I love it.
That's great. Yep. You have any grandkids?
No, no one's married yet.
Okay.
But they're all getting closer.
Yeah.
And the older ones are, at least.
Well, that's great. Grandkids are awesome. I don't have 6. I got 3, and from 33 to 28, and one of them followed in my footsteps in the car business. The other 2 are in the medical field, but they have blessed us with 4 wonderful grandchildren, all of which live about 9 minutes from us here. So my wife recently retired after 31 years in the car business. She was a controller. And she retired. She wanted to be a full-time Gigi to our new youngest grandson. So during the day, she's down the street at our daughter's house taking care of the grandkids, so we don't have to send them to daddy daycare, right? Yeah. When you started out, you got out of college. I think you're quite the serial entrepreneur. You've started many companies, and do you still have them all? And tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I've run a couple companies before this and sold them. And I came to RepairPal 10 years ago. It actually already existed and had been around from 2007 to 2012 when I joined. And, running a company is a journey. We at RepairPal try to make it more like a family. We're very committed to values and performance and putting the two together in as healthy way as we possibly can. And that's the experience. If you can both produce and then end up at the end of a cycle stronger, not worn out from it, you end up being able to build. And that's not easy.
No.
It takes a lot of work, but we try to work really hard at that.
Where did that philosophy come from, Art?
Just years of doing this, ups and downs through the cycles of running companies, realizing that the goal is just, whatever you set as your goal is really just a milestone towards the next goal. You're never done.
No, it's a journey, just like what you said.
It is. And so how do you inspire yourself and the team? And part of that is just to be as mission-based as you can, right? In your values and articulate them as clearly as you can, even to the point when we do performance reviews across RepairPal. For each of our values, we have specific words for what it means to be good at it and needing improvement at it or doing exceptional. So we really try to articulate this at a level that is clear to employees, that we can all unite on, and then operate kind of the same way. So
like us, maybe not. We're what's the date today? In 4 days, we'll be 30 months old, this particular company.
Congrats.
And thank you very much. And we rolled out right before COVID hit, and it was really, the timing was right. We thought, what is the next big thing? And it just made it even bigger because service was essential, right?
Yeah.
And then we wanted to somehow play a part in automation. When you talk to whether a dealership, whether it's variable or fixed, or any facet of it, there's one fundamental challenge they all have, which I'm sure you and your staff are very familiar with. Nobody has time. And so if you can, give them some time back where they don't have to manage something through technology, it's really quite wonderful. And then the team, this is my 3rd company, and this particular team is the best team we've ever had. And I have an acronym for that, and that's together everyone achieves more. But we really, we don't have brick and mortar. Everybody's remote all over the country, and we're growing in leagues. But, we empower our people to be who they are. And personally, through my struggles over the years, I've learned that I don't need to know it all. I surround myself with people who actually know more than I do. Does it work that way kind of for you too in some regards? Or?
Yeah. So we have a kind of a philosophy that effective teams, to your word of team, have 3 key components. First is a shared vision. And I feel pretty responsible for that. Does everyone know where we're at and what we're doing? Right. And that's really important.
It is.
So we try to articulate that in very simple terms. So everyone in the company can say, hey, we have been successful doing these things. And our new effort is to, for instance, build out our dealer business, because dealers are an amazing place for consumers to get their car fixed. But there's a lot of gaps in the journey of trust. So the shared vision is something that's key for me. Then, to your point, we have what I call swim lanes, which are roles and responsibilities. So each person knows what their part of it is, right? So
Very important.
Charity knows she runs marketing. And to that point, yeah, I don't know everything. She's the best at it.
That's right.
Right.
I'll tell you, I gotta tell you,
Makes sense.
I would not, or our company would not be where it's at today if not for her. She is as a matter of fact, maybe off camera, she might say something different to you personal. I doubt it because I like to know how she thinks and how people are, but we empower her to let her do just about whatever she wants to do and the way that she thinks it needs to be done. And it's yielded results that have exceeded any expectations that I could have.
See,
It's incredible.
So that's awesome. And so there is a third. So if first is a shared vision, which I feel the team does collectively, but I feel responsible. It's not my vision, it's our vision.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right. But
Absolutely.
I feel responsible to make sure that's well articulated and clear for everyone in the company. Right. That I do feel that ownership.
Yes,
Roles
sir.
and responsibilities are the team because Charity knows when she's kind of doing it or someone else is doing it and what the edge is. And so everyone has to work that out together. That's a collective responsibility. Now, the third part of an effective team is what I call healthy conflict. It's not rocket science, but what it is we're all in, that's why I use this word swim lanes. We're all in the same pool, right? The pool of WTF or the pool of RepairPal.
That's right.
And how, when you see something outside your swim lane, you're not comfortable with, how do you respond? And our view of healthy conflict is that the person who sees it has not just an opportunity, but actually an obligation to say, hey, I think you're not doing that right, which sometimes creates conflict that people often avoid. But if you avoid that conflict, then it's like, well, they're just that way and we're this way. And all of a sudden these silos occur in an organization. So what you need to do is actually embrace healthy conflict, put issues on the table, make sure you understand the other person's point of view, they understand yours, and then, solve it. And I'm happy to get involved in that.
I think that's great. That's a great philosophy.
It's not really that hard. But it's hard to do, right? To get a clear shared vision, right, of what you want, to really make sure people understand their swim lanes and what they're responsible for, to have amazing people there, and to deal with the fact that sometimes people don't make it, and that's hard, right?
It is.
So how do you deal with that transition that, everyone running any business, FixedOPS in particular, has to deal with? What if people are just not quite making it? How do I handle that? And then making sure that when there is healthy conflict, people don't just sit quiet and let that problem exist and permeate, but actually reach out and go across and say, hey, we should talk about this. And let me tell you, here are the facts I see, and here's why I think it would be different. The other person might say, well, I see, no, the facts are not right. You're missing this and this and this. And then you're like, oh,
right.
Or
no, listen, that's great because we have more women in our company than men. And we have a lot of younger people as well. And, you can call millennials, Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever you want to. They have a different way of thinking, and it's not wrong whatsoever. It's just different. So a lot of times when we rub shoulders and our people will, I'm not going to say push back, but they'll say, no, I don't agree with that. Here's why. Now, I have this particular line of thinking and thoughts that I have, but I'm also open enough to know that, hey, no doesn't mean no. It just means I don't have enough information to get a yes. So you listen to what they have to say, not listen to respond, but listen to understand. Absolutely.
And so what I try to have people do, including myself, and look, I'm far from perfect at it, but I am a student of it, is make sure I can say, okay, are we agreed on the facts? And before we make decisions from the facts. And then can I understand, Tiffany, why you're saying we should do this great thing? And I'm thinking maybe we shouldn't because of this. How do you feel about that? And embrace it that way, and give the person an opportunity to have their point of view, as opposed to coming in, as you were saying, listening for your answer to get on the table.
That's absolutely. That's there's two kinds of leaders. There's leaders that, and I've said this before on a couple. I love acronyms that that they're at the top of the food chain, and what they say is the way it goes. It's either their way or the highway. And I don't, my experience with those, some of them have been extremely successful, and some of them get to this point where they have this level of status, which is, in my opinion, still too arrogant to really, to understand success, right? That's the acronym for that. And I think it's really important, right? Then I think it's important. I call them servant leaders, people that empower and inspire and motivate people to think outside the box, and give them the latitude to do what they do best, and to be able to go back and forth with it. I've learned some very valuable lessons over the years where I didn't used to be that way. Now it's no big deal. There's no way I could even remotely, like I said earlier, remotely do what Charity does. There was a time in my life where I had status and I thought I could, right? I thought I needed to know it all.
Yeah.
And that's the actual opposite of a servant leader, I
Yeah.
believe. Did you learn some of those hard lessons too?
Oh yeah, there's been up and down the whole way. They're part of the journey, and sometimes they're huge, and sometimes they're not. But it's the kind of consistent practice that really matters. And we do, at the end of the year, we as a team come together and look at performance and values in equal measure for rating someone. And we do that collectively as a team so that we can, make sure that someone in an organization is recognized for their work cross organization, either positively or, as potentially an issue. And when you do measure on performance and values, at the end of the day, our leadership team is a majority female. And a majority of our leaders on the exec team are female, and that's because we simply look at performance and value.
That's it.
They've risen, to the top amazingly, wonderfully well.
So how many staff members have at RepairPal?
Probably about 85.
Wow. So that's really important to have a value system for your business. We here try to have people on the show that are very focused on these positive values like we are too. And I'm just thinking about how difficult that must be once you get to that number of staff to keep it very organized and on track with what you're wanting to do.
It's harder and harder, especially we are fully remote as well. What happened is when COVID hit, I didn't want to be remote, to be fair.
Sure.
I wanted us all to be together. We had 1 or 2 employees who were remote for specific reasons. But then when people move, they often moved for 2 reasons. One, they didn't want to pay so much money to live in the Bay Area in a small room that they were in.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right. So they went somewhere with a little more space, say, Oregon or Washington. 2, they decided, hey, I went to school here, or I have family there, and I'm going to go near that experience. So then you have a bunch of people who aren't, able to show up.
Sure.
You got to make a decision. Do you make the people who have an hour commute, but the people who, live out of state not? Do you run a hybrid organization? And, as we look through all those different ways of doing it, we decided to go fully remote and give
That's great.
The opportunity. It does change a little your workforce, right?
It does.
You'll if people want a campus, they're probably less likely to come necessarily to RepairPal. But if they're at home with children and they love the fact that they can work and take care of things at the same time, it's perfect, right?
I would never ever commute again, ever. I was commuting 2.5 hours a day. And it was so taxing. So I'm very grateful for my
same with me. I was commuting at least an hour a day, and I tried to get work done on that, but it's, it was just such a use of time and not in a productive way, not good for the environment. Nothing was good about it.
Yeah, I had a lot of challenges to overcome. I've been working right from here where you see me now for 22 years.
Wow.
Well, look at you.
I tell you,
you're ahead of us.
Well, now my first company, there was an office in Houston, but I was sales and marketing. I was pretty much on the outside, and I was an employee for many years, and then, ended up getting a piece of the company in a CRM. So I wanted to ask you, I keep thinking about swimming and staying in your lane and focus on what you know. And the remote thing. There's challenges. Some people just can't seem to get stuff done remotely because it's too distracting. So, I mean, I literally have to shut things down. Now, all the kids, we don't have any dogs or cats, so it's just me and my wife, and she's not here during the day. But I'll have moments where I'll walk outside that door or something, and I'll see something in the kitchen, or I'll start a load of laundry or something just to kind of help out. And then I got to get my happy rear end back in here, or, go to the park and walk for lunch, if the weather's nice, something like that, because I like to do that. RepairPal. 10
Yes.
years ago, the company already existed.
Yes.
And how did you get to RepairPal?
Yeah, I knew one of the board members, and the company had built this really interesting data set for what's a fair price for a car repair. So by make, model, year, zip code, which gets very detailed when you put all those together, and then repair type, what's a fair price? And so the idea was to help consumers overcome that sticker shock when they see, wow, it's going to cost that. But it really didn't have a business model for that alone, that just price. And so I came in and created this concept called RepairPal Certified, which was a kind of a view, not just of what's a fair price, which actually ends up being very important for our, emerging, growing dealer business, but also what's a trusted shop.
Exactly.
And so what we did is literally I went around with the same auto professionals who had built a science around what's a fair price. And we went to San Francisco, we went to independent shops, and we walked in and said, okay, your daughter, I literally said this, is broke down in Nashville. How would you advise her for what shop to go to? Guess what?
They
didn't know.
No, they didn't know. No.
I don't know. And so I said then, okay, if you had all the data in the world about every shop, what paradigm would you choose to evaluate those shops, to understand where to send your daughter? And guess what? Still didn't know. So I figured out, right? So think of it. And now the data behind this about the need for repair is pretty interesting, but let me finish on RepairPal Certified, and then we can talk about like how big is this problem. So we created a paradigm called RepairPal Certified that has 4 pillars. The first actually was modeled after dealers, because most of the auto professionals had actually worked in the dealers, loved the quality experience. So it was effectively a quality assessment. And this was really for an independent shop back then. And so do you have the right diagnostic tools? Is everyone trained? All the things are the parts high quality, all the things you would expect at a dealer. It's not the same as a dealer necessarily, but it's a very significant commitment to quality, which frankly, most independent shops don't have that level of expertise.
That's right.
So that was one. Second, we extracted the customer list from the shop. So, okay, Russell, you want to be in the network, you pass the quality test. Now we interview your customers and calculate an unbiased net promoter score. And the net promoter score is how likely you to rate this, United Airlines or Apple or this repair shop on a scale of 0 to 10. The 9s and 10s are promoters, and you subtract out the 0s through 6s, which are kind of like, they're not really that happy. Sure. And even a 7 and 8, which is a great score, don't get counted. And well, the net promoter score of the industry overall isn't very good because there's a lot of 6s and 7s versus 9s and 10s. So we set a minimum net promoter score. And actually the average net promoter score of our network is a 76, which is like Apple. So now all of a sudden you have this super high quality shop that delights its customers. Isn't that great? That's the kind of shop you'd want to send your daughter. And we look for 2 more things. One, did they stand behind the work the way a dealer would with a year warranty or more? Turns out actually most of our independent shops, the average is 2 years, 24,000 months. Because if you've made that commitment to quality and service, you can really stand behind your work. And that's
absolutely
the beginning way to differentiate yourself, that you are one of those few quality shops. And then finally, we use the RepairPal estimator and said, look, you can charge whatever you want, but if you're going to overcharge for a zip code based on average dealer labor rates, not cheap.
That's right.
The estimator is based on OEM SRP parts. It's based on average dealer labor rates. We're not trying to get it low cost. We're simply trying to get a fair cost.
Yeah,
Consumers are willing to pay a fair price.
absolutely. As long as there's value associated with it.
Exactly. And so we put those 4 criteria together to create this concept of RepairPal Certified 10 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah. So you mentioned, just for clarification, RepairPal certified, and is that it, or was there another one that's not certified? That's what it is. RepairPal certified.
That's the core of our business. Yes.
So I've known about RepairPal for a few years now, but never really saw it up close and personal until I met Michael Barrich with Murfreesboro Nissan, which I want to highlight here. Michael's a phenomenal guy. When we first met him, it was about 6 months after COVID hit. And he thought, well, okay, something's going to have to change. You mentioned paradigm shift, right? So the rules and regulations that he worked and lived by, something had to change. So he got busy doing some homework on technology. And I don't know have you ever heard of a guy by the name of Glenn Lundy?
I don't think so. I certainly know Michael.
Yeah, phenomenal guy. Yeah, let me just number one, as of like 2 months ago, number one Nissan store in 2022 in customer pay, parts, and labor. And he has your product. And that's where I became real familiar with your product. And he showed me how it worked. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is something that every store in America needs.
I love when you say that. That's
right.
Handy.
Well, and I believe it needs to be in conjunction with what Michael thinks that everybody should have, what we should have. And I thought, well, one of the things that I talk about is what NADA published not too long ago, that for every franchise dealer, there are 16 non-franchise entities that dominate the paid and organic search results that surround a dealership, from Firestone, Valvoline, Pep Boys, you name it, they're out there everywhere. And then when he showed me his program and the estimator, it just reinforces and validates, and it's a phenomenal advisory tool. So customers feel comfortable that they're not paying too much, but it's not necessarily the cheapest, but it's right smack dab there in the middle. And they just, it's made it attributed to the success that store's had. And I'm sure many more as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for saying that. Yeah, let's talk about the problem a little, and then let's talk about how we solve that.
Absolutely.
And I'll actually quote Michael and what he says, and how we help him overcome the issues. So people own their cars longer than ever, right?
True.
All the cars are bought from a dealer.
True.
But when the warranty expires, people stop going to the dealer over time, to the point where, like 10 years after, only about 20% of the people who bought their car at a place are actually getting it fixed there. And so if you look at and measure your retention rate at 80% a year, if you multiply 80 times 80 times 80 times 80, at some point you get a much, much smaller number. Okay. And guess what? After the warranty, what happens in the customer pay opportunity? The opportunity goes up, while the share for the dealer goes straight down.
Exactly. The defection at 36 to 39 months is enormous.
And continues over time. You're exactly right. So we did the research, and the number one reason that people don't fix at the dealer 73% of the time is price perception. Perception. Exactly. Right. And so now let's talk about it. That means, because I talk to a lot of dealers who say, oh no, someone had a bad experience. I had a bad director, or I'm too far. Actually, all of that is important, and it all adds to 27%.
It does.
73%. Think about it. Someone's in a vulnerable position. Their car's not working. They need to get it fixed. And their perception is, uh-oh, what am I getting into here? And so what we do by helping you as RepairPal certified is we help you address the number one reason people don't show up, or people turn you down when they get that estimate and they say, okay, I'm going to think about it. And so what Michael said, to quote him now, is people don't come to us for time, price, or trust. And RepairPal helps me on 2 of those. Can't solve the time issue, but price and trust, because he can show that he is fair priced, and a fair price dealer deserves that business. right? And so that's how we've helped change the businesses of many different dealers, because they're addressing the number one concern that a customer actually has for not servicing at the dealer.
Yeah, what you're doing and what you bring to the table, and I believed it even before now, and you just reinforced and reaffirmed with that validation that this is really important. Dealers are starting to pay attention to their fixed operation side of things. That's where all the money is made anyway.
Yeah.
There is a paradigm shift going on, how we think, how we take care of our customers. I know, I'm not saying it's true everywhere, but they think the oil changes are so high that they're going to like a Jiffy Lube or something like that. And actually it costs more than it does at the dealership. They want to stay at the dealership. And it seems kind of funny that at this defection rate at 36 to 39 months is about the time that they need tires and things of that nature. So dealerships are waking up, and even some of their models for paying for CSI now include customer retention 2 times a year at a minimum. What you're doing brings such value. And it was so easy because I went in there and did it myself. It's so easy to find out what the average is. And it just, it put my mind at ease. There's the anxiety disappeared. I mean, there's a lot of psychological stuff behind that, right, Art?
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, the thing is that the rich history is, CRM, pounding people with emails, 10% off. It's heavily discounting, which undermines the value that the dealer brings, which is a great offering.
It defeats the whole purpose.
It does.
I don't know. They're figuring that out now, though, because of guys like you.
Go look at sites for fixed ops, and what are you going to see everywhere? Yeah. And guess what? Here's the other thing that's so interesting. 81% of people believe that quality is more important than price in repair. We're not talking oil changes now. We're talking about repair.
Exactly.
Quality. They know they're driving with their kids at 80 miles an hour down the road.
I think it's true in every venture. I'll pay more for value. The better job it's always priced here first, but the better job you do at building value, the less objection there is to price. Throwing out a 1995 oil change is ridiculous.
Right.
It's just you're losing money. You're setting a horrible precedence in the industry, which everybody is starting to wake up. I think, not just because I'm in it. But look, prior to the stuff that you're doing or the stuff that we're doing, here's what existed, if you could even find it. Now, we know everybody's online today more than ever, all of us. And you need to deliver the right content with the right message at the right time. You need to make it easy for them to interact and convert the way they want to convert, whether they're 18 years old or 80 years old. Don't force them down some wormhole, or they get there if they can even find coupons or specials that either don't exist, right, under construction, check back later, or static image they can't do anything with, etc. But they can't. It's equally as hard to find certified repair. I mean, you're looking at the top level navigation, and you hold your mouse over one of the tabs, and you got to drop down like this, right? And that causes anxiety, and dealerships don't know this. But anything more than 7 or 8, we've done a lot of research. It starts to cause anxiety, and they end up leaving. It needs to be a pleasant experience. Less is more, not more is more. It doesn't work that way. But to integrate with companies like yours that offer the tremendous value that you do, you got spokespeople. There's a few others, but I don't have permission to mention their name. But Michael Barrett and I became extremely close because he was hungry for information, and I learned a lot from him because I grew up on the variable side, Art. I know enough about fixed operations, and people know it when they talk to me because, like you and your company and what you do, everything is about character and integrity and relationship. And people think, okay, there's 16,000 franchise dealers, et cetera. There's plenty of, no. Automotive, Art, I'm sure you would agree, and Sherry, it's small world. you can mess things up in a heartbeat if
You hear about it.
yeah. And so does everybody else with social,
Yeah, down the
the old-
grapevine it comes.
exactly. The old adage, what's said and done in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, that's a lie. Everybody's got these things now. There is no such thing. And the word, so if you have a bad experience, people will tell, people about a bad experience. If you meet their expectations, you've met their expectations. They don't, but if you exceed their expectations, they will go out of their way to say something positive about you.
It's funny you say that. Way back in my Schwab days, we did customer satisfaction. We found, say it was an 8 out of 10, which is great. If you made a problem, it went down. But if you fix the problem, it actually ended up higher than 8. It ended up at 9. Why? Because everyone knows there's going to be a problem. And so if you fix it well, right, you actually.
That's right. And yeah.
The thing is that, FixedOPS, a couple more things around FixedOPS.
Please, yes.
Generates half the profit. What percent of advertising is on FixedOPS?
Yeah.
Hardly any.
Insignificant.
What percent of GMs came from the FixedOPS side?
Very, very, a small, minute, minuscule. I don't know the real number. 5-7%.
I don't either. And here's the thing. If over time you've lost 80% of your customer base and it still generates half your profit, imagine if you can lead with a value conversation, not a discount conversation. Imagine if your people feel inspired that they're doing the right thing, bringing a service and saying, this is great. We're fair priced per RepairPal. That's all it takes. Those few words.
Yes. Do you think that I'm off base, that we, Charity and I, and our whole team thinks that not just because we're in this side of the business, but I mean, I've been in it so long. I listen and watch people and I'm part of a lot of different, breakouts and podcasts and other types of meetings, Zoom meetings, et cetera, because I'm hungry for knowledge. I've learned so much from guys like Michael and FixedOPS Mastermind, Dave Foy and Service Drive Live on Sunday mornings with Eric and Joe. It's just, I don't know if you've been on that or not. It's phenomenal, the pinging and ponging, but there's something going on. They're starting to, they're waking up and starting to figure this thing out. Just like what you're talking about, let's say tires. I remember years ago, tires were a big thing. They stopped it. They couldn't sell it. They're not making any money on it. Well, that's not the long game, because if you get them on tires, okay, and if you at about 3 years, you're pretty much sealing the coffin and stopping the defection rate, because you're not going to make money. You need to compete with the national brands, and dealerships today can do that, but the money is going to be made because they keep coming back and coming back. The average life for the vehicle on the road is over 12 years old now.
Yeah,
something like that. 12.1. Yeah.
And so why not continue that relationship? And look, the fact that the GMs don't have that background isn't the problem.
Nope.
It's the fact that we haven't spent enough attention. And when we spend the attention, we often think of discounting, location. CSI has actually improved significantly. And that was an important.
I think so. Yeah.
But we don't address the number one reason. I'm worried I'm going to pay too much. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so if you keep sending me mailers saying 10% off on my service, like I'm going to go.
Very expensive service.
Yeah, well, right. Or the service advisor has the authority to discount to win the business. Then I become, as a service advisor, your friend.
Yep.
What does it mean about the dealership?
Friend and advocate. Absolutely. Now, I didn't operate when I was running stores, because when I sold for years and years and years, I learned something from a phenomenal mentor that I had, that Russell, there's no coincidence, magic, or luck. It's all mathematics. It's all numbers. You reap what you sow. It's universal. It's like gravity. When you go up, yeah, there's things that, like thrust and lift for a little while. You can stay up there. You're coming down.
Yeah.
And so I worked the service drive. I would show up an hour and a half before the sales department even opened to get, to find out. And I ended up selling a lot of cars out of service and meeting a lot of wonderful people. But I learned a very valuable lesson. I watched this service advisor one day. Customer came in early in the morning, it's about 7:45. It was not a happy customer. It was heat. It was real heat. And I watched this service advisor, a master at relationships. The customer came up and just went off, and he stood there. He wasn't listening to respond. He was listening really to understand. And he let them go for a little while with eye contact and head nodding so that he knew, I mean, they knew that he was actually listening. And when they reached the end or close to a pause, he said these 6 words, which are the most disarming words in the English vocabulary. I apologize. Will you forgive me? And then he shut up, and they immediately calmed down and were apologetic, because it wasn't, and it was just, those are some of the valuable lessons I learned. And it's about relationships. It's about customer. People are coming in. It's safety. They got 3 kids. They got 3 car seats in the back. They got this minivan or SUV or something. I mean, yeah.
And so imagine when they come in with that problem and they hear they have $1,200 worth of work, and you did the MPI, the multi-point inspection,
Right.
and you know they need it.
Yep.
So imagine adding, look, I know that sounds like I know you weren't expecting that this morning, right? And you need the work. And by the way, we're RepairPal certified for fair pricing. So this is a great place. Let's get it done.
And they say, inevitably, a lot of times, what does RepairPal certified mean? And I love it because Michael would explain it in such a way with his customers. His job is that, so somebody comes in with a Nissan Sentra, and there's thousands a day all across the US that come in different parts of the country that have recommended maintenance for a particular reason. It's their job to advise and educate the consumer, because it's a lot cheaper to spend money on recommended maintenance than major repairs because they didn't recommend it, right?
Yep.
And you want to feel comfortable and warm and fuzzy and reinforce with a third-party validation that you're getting a fair price. There's not a better product out there that I know of than RepairPal.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, I'm just saying.
I love that. Don't want to cut you off at that. You can say it again.
RepairPal.
Okay.
Yeah.
But think about it. A lot of service directors try. They put up a dare to compare board. They really do pay attention. A lot of GMs pay attention. They understand this. They understand transparency is evolving. Well, we are transparent. We're not a household name, but we are the largest trusted marketplace in auto repair. So we're a great start, and consumers need some validation, right? Even if it's like, oh, okay, RepairPal, I do see that's independent. I do know you've gone through the effort to show me that you've been qualified by someone else who's independent, because they struggle to trust the dare to compare board. Who put that up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who chose the prices? It's
Yeah.
it's people. So dealerships are often attentive, but they struggle to have the language, the communication, the tools. And so what we do is we train the service advisors on saying to deal with price objections, not to respond immediately with discounting, but to actually jump in and say, hey, we're fair priced, RepairPal certified. Can I show you the estimate? Sometimes people go, oh, I don't need it. Or other times they say, yeah. And our system's pretty simple to use, so they can pull it up really fast.
Well, if you say we're RepairPal certified, I like to refer to that as an immediate pattern interrupt. They don't really know it. And, it's all about curiosity, right? What does that mean? You can, if you're watching, you can immediately see, well, let me explain this to you. Let me show it to you, what that means to you as a consumer. I think it's, so did you have this vision 10 years ago?
Well,
It's probably changed somewhat, but
it has. I had a desire to help people find a trusted place to get their car fixed. That was the goal. It was a mission-based company. And as we articulated the mission, we said, look, first and foremost, the guiding light is to help consumers in caring and repairing for their car. And, not or, and is important. And to support the businesses that do the right thing for consumers. It's an and.
it is.
It's not the business against. Some marketplaces pit the providers against each other, right? Or, they kind of choose and they make it kind of a race to the bottom. We're not a race to the bottom. We actually try to drive a bar around quality.
Absolutely.
Fair pricing.
That gentleman I mentioned earlier ago, Glenn Lundy, he at NADA, and I thought he's got hundreds of thousands of followers. And anyway, phenomenal guy in the car business, very upbeat, very enthusiastic and inspirational in a lot of different ways. But he was talking about how technology has moved from 1922 to 2022 over the last 100 years. And the thing, and I use this all the time, he said, in the next 5 years, technology is going to evolve that same 100 years. So an opportunity is not an opportunity when everybody thinks it's an opportunity. They've already missed it. So dealers that aren't embracing this technology today, technology to accelerate their momentum, not to create momentum. Technology doesn't, it accelerates what they're doing. Now, some technology can set you backwards because it requires too much. People don't really understand it. And I think that's what your companies like yours and mine, we bring to the table is technology.
Absolutely. And transparency. The technology is transparency and third-party validation. And there's so important. There's one other that Stephen Hill, who runs I-10 Toyota, which is a big Toyota dealer in Southern California. What he found, which was really, inspiring, is it gave his people confidence to like, even his young people who are coming in, because there's always turnover, to feel like they can ask for the business without even discounting, but even before discounting, to ask for the business because they knew they were working at a place that was fair pricing, which makes the employees feel great and deliver better.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Who knows what the advisors think? They may have thought dealerships are too expensive too.
Right.
So now they're educated and understand, and they have this, you can pick up on it. I know words can lie, but body language cannot. So if you're really watching people and you get that uneasy feeling somewhere or another, their actions aren't matching their words. So something, and you can't really pinpoint it, but when somebody talks with conviction, and they know that what they have is something third party, this validation thing that RepairPal certified is, they're very confident at presenting it every single time and make no qualms about it whatsoever.
And it's simple. Just, hey, you need the work. It's this much. We're certified. That's a fair price. Let's get it.
And this may end up being $75 or $125 more than what the average is, but you're here at the dealership. And we're the supporting certified dealership with, not only with RepairPal certified, but also we have all the equipment, everything to properly maintain your Toyota, your Nissan, et cetera today. I think it's phenomenal.
That is amazing.
And I probably cut Charity off about 15. Go ahead, Charity.
Did you know, Art, that our product integrates with your product?
I didn't, but I'd love to hear more.
Tell them about it, Russell, because you're the pro in the area.
So we, even though we're not, but 30 months old, we can say that we are the original video coupon and full service marketing solution for fixed operations. So if you were to go to Murfreesboro Nissan, which I encourage you to do, you'll see a service coupon in the top level navigation. Well, everything underneath there are SEO landing pages. We create explainer video coupons that very short, talking about repairs, diagnostics, brakes, tires and alignments, batteries, etc. Well, on the what we call the featured offers page, we have a banner, RepairPal, that slides. It's a big banner, Sunbit, RepairPal, whatever they use, and they can click anywhere on that banner, and it takes them right to the RepairPal login, or to find out, put in their information. We also have one of your videos actually in a coupon on that page as well. So you watch this little video, and the customer clicks start here. They can call, they can get directions, they can schedule service, it'll say estimate repairs. They can click on that, takes them right to RepairPal certified for them to get that information. And then under repairs and diagnostics, under the main video that we have with video coupons that pertain to that page, but we have an explainer video on each and every one of those pages. Again, RepairPal is down there for to estimate your repairs. So,
well, thank you. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
if there's other integration points, we don't know about them. So if you get some idea, we can certainly talk.
We absolutely will take a look at that. Yeah. It's a huge opportunity. Dealers once they're RepairPal certified, they can show that in multiple ways. They can show it on their website. They can show it with signage at the service advisor desks. We train the BDC to call and just add it in. The estimates are really easy to call
Yes,
up. So it's
they
easy
are.
to have a consumer do that in parallel with you.
Well, that's what we're about. We're about educating the consumer, and we do it through. I mean, customers. I think they take for granted, or dealerships take for granted. They know the difference between a conventional semi-synthetic and full synthetic oil change. They don't really understand the alignment process. They don't understand a coolant flush. So our stuff is not only designed to deliver the right content at the right message at the right time, but equally make it aesthetically very easy inside the coupon itself. Because I like to refer to anybody clicking, Art, and everybody out there, anything more than 3 clicks, exponentially the exit rates go up. So you want to serve up what they're looking for. Well, now we've changed the entire game. The money's always gone to variable, all the funnels, all the widgets, all the tools to funnel customers. And hasn't really existed until now. And it's really made a substantial difference on that. So it's not only for the consumers, but it's also for the advisors for the same reasons that RepairPal certified is there. And that is to the biggest thing, I think. I was going somewhere with this, and I just had a brain fart. I don't know if you ever had
Well,
those.
it's a communication tool, Russell, right?
It is.
Advisors can talk to customers the day before, the day of,
Right.
the day after. That's a very common way for it to be used.
See how she just picked that up, Art? Because it's
Seamlessly.
It's used to validate a third-party validation for advisors when they're explaining services to make it real easy, because they may not understand the level of what does it mean if your engine coolant is low and has a bunch of debris in it. Well, it means you've never had a coolant flush, first of all,
Right.
but the significant challenges that would come from that, and they don't really good at a lot of times. Some of them are masters at really talking in the customer's language about the safety and importance and not overheating and all that. So yeah, we do the same thing you do, but there's no conflict. We actually supplement what you do.
I love that. I love that. And what you said is absolutely right. It's the consumer. If you're going to listen to the consumer, which is what you've said many times, their number one issue is price.
Always.
I want to make sure I trust that the dealership with the big OEM brand on it is going to have the right quality. I'm concerned that I'm going to overpay, right? And so how do you address that? And when you solve that with very simply and directly with what we think is also the best opportunity to do that, we've been doing this for 15 years, price.
Trust but verify.
Yes. You then inspire the people who feel really good about asking, saying, look, you need this work. Here it's fair price. Let's get this done.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah,
and the
it does.
numbers, we haven't talked a lot of numbers, but Stephen Hill did a really nice case study and showed that his win backs went up 25%.
Wow.
His ELR went up 5.4%.
That's phenomenal.
His retention went up 0.78%. So, in the end, the ROI, as a ability to help people overcome that price objection is huge.
Yeah. I hear a lot of people today, you probably do too. Oh, electric vehicles. Okay, first of all, it's years away. The infrastructure is not there, the storage, so on and so forth. But yeah, what's it going to do to service? Well, let's focus on retention and just doing things right, and you won't have to worry about it. Just a small, significant uptick means a lot of money for the dealership. I mean, it's like, what are they thinking?
Well said. I saw someone who did the math to say, if in 2035, 50% of new cars are EV, there'll still only be 13% of the cars on the road that are EV in 2035. So even if the new stuff is there, the last 5 years we've sold, there's been 75 million new cars sold that are going to last 20 years. There's the number of cars that are non-EV will be here for a generation.
It's incredible the things they focus on. And I remember, I think it was 1997 or 98, AutoBytel came on the scene out of California. It was an internet lead provider. I mean, it was gold. If you got one and you were signed up on their program, they'd drive 60, 70 miles. And you know what? They would show they were great at correspondence. Oh, but let me tell you what, sales is over. The showrooms are going to disappear. And then Carvana happened. Oh my gosh, it's over. And now the EV thing. Oh, it's over. You know, it's not over. It makes us better. And there's plenty of opportunity, and there will be for a long time to come. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I know that we didn't even get to a fraction of the questions, and we burned up the hour.
We have a lot left.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we are out of time.
Time keeps ticking.
So Charity, what do we have left that we can engage Art in?
Well, Art, we'd like to give you the last couple minutes to have the floor. Anything you really wanted to say that you didn't get to say, or any events or anything you'd like to just, let people know about.
Please.
Have the floor.
Okay. Thank you so much. Dealers are an amazing place for consumers to get their cars fixed. The consumer's main reason they don't is their concern about pricing 73% of the time. We're here to help. We're here to help. If you're fair priced, then you deserve a chance to get the consumer's business. The consumer doesn't know that themselves, and third-party validation really helps. That's kind of what we do. art@repairpal.com. I'd be delighted to help you understand this better and introduce you to folks who've used it successfully. Other than that, I didn't know if there was anything else.
No, that's pretty much it. I'd like to say thanks everybody out there for watching. Be looking for all the episode. Look for RepairPal. Now it should be a name that is indelibly implanted in your mind now, especially in conjunction with all the customers that we have out there too, and how that works. But to have Art Shaw on today was just phenomenal. And this is another successful episode of your humble host, Russell Hill. We want you to like, to love, to share, to make comments, because when this comes out, you're going to see it. It's going to be everywhere. And what you didn't know, you will now know. So there would be no excuse for not reaching out and picking up the phone or sending an email or some kind of inquiry to find out more about RepairPal Certified. Now, I'm very grateful for our co-host Charity today. Nico, we heard a little bit up front. So Nico, where's Nico at? Is he still there?
He's asleep.
Okay.
That's his birthday right there.
But yes, we need to have you back on, Art, because there was about half the questions that we didn't even get to. But it was so eye-opening for me to have you on today, and where you're going is unstoppable. And I'm not saying this to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Every dealership out there, franchise dealership, needs RepairPal certified. And if you have any questions, like I said, reach out to Art, reach out to me. I'm an advocate, or I can certainly let you talk to people in the business that are using it, just like Art did, on the significant impact that it's had in the store. And look, it's time to re-educate our customers. That's what it's time to do. It's time to offer them some real value and third-party validation and reinforcement that hasn't existed before. Or if you didn't think it did, you know now that it does. So
yeah,
anyway,
it's nice that we have vendors that are solving problems. It's really beneficial for dealerships.
It is.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.